Hello everyone, this time we're going to be looking at Transformers Superlink Galvatron. Instead of the leader class version of this toy that we got in the United States, the Japanese got a smaller Voyager class version of this toy. I'm going to be going over the many superior points of this toy, so let's go ahead and check it out. In Galvatron's vehicle mode, he is a Cybertronian jet. And as you can see by the molding, he is identical to the Energon version, except he is much smaller. And if we compare him to the leader class version, you can just see how much bigger he is. This one's a lot wider and longer and has just a bulkier feel to it, while this one has a more slimmer, not as heavy, and more appropriate size for this type of design. And you can see that the colors on this are a lot brighter than the Energon mold. It has some nice metallic green that's lacking on the Energon mold. The green on these parts is a lot brighter and seems have a more appropriate feel to it. Overall, it is just a beauty to look at, especially with these bright colors, while the Energon one is kind of dull to look at. This does have landing gear just like the Energon version. Flip the toy over, the rear portions of the landing gear fold in fairly easily, while the front one is a little different. Opening it up and closing it, once it reaches to a certain friction point, it becomes very stiff, and it almost feels like you're bending this plastic here. And it's a little scary, if you want to say, to open and close, because it really does feel like it's about to break. So I try not to do that as much, which I just kind of did. Now, as the Superlink line was infamous for its gimmicks, such as with the Autobots, they could superlink together, while the Decepticons had hyper modes, and this one's no different. To put this one in hyper mode in its vehicle mode, you can do it one of two ways. It's supposed to be able to, the way it's advertised, is to being able to pull this green portion here, and the top parts of the wing flip up and guns will pop out, which is actually not too bad looking, while all the other ones, hyper modes, are kind of weird looking to begin with. This one actually adds a more imposing feel to the jet. But you can also just do the same by flipping these parts up. The Voyager class version of this mode is a lot more appropriate for this design. It's lighter, it's less bulky, it's not nearly as clumsy, and the colors are 100% better. It is huge improvement over the Energon version. Just based on this vehicle mode, I can recommend this over the Energon one 100%. If you're familiar with the transformation of the Energon Megatron toy, you'll have a strange case of deja vu, because it is identical to the larger one in every way. Flip up the landing gear. You can start doing it many ways. You can start it off by either, you want to detach the wings here, which are attached to the engines here by this little peg. Well, a lot of people seem to forget about that little part there. You can lift them up until it's out of the way and rotate it 180 degrees until it'll snap really nice in place. It'll wiggle a little bit forth, but it's not going anywhere unless you put a fair amount of pressure on it. Then you can flip it upside down, extend out the legs, and as you do so, push the landing gear forward, which will flip out the feet, and flip down this heel or knee piece. Do that for both. Then pull out the arms, which do not snap in place like the Energon one. They just simply fall in place. Rotate or flip the front of the jet mode all the way down. Then push down the head, and then flip up his antennas. I guess if you or horn crown. I guess the wings in place till it's about right there. And there you have it, Galvatron in robot mode. Now, the colors on this are pretty much the same from the jet mode, except there's a lot more yellow being exposed here with the front of his knees here, and his toes, and his shoulder piece here. If you look in on the face, the molding is identical to the Energon version. It's just that this has more shellac color with the very, very light blue in the face, as opposed to the Energon one, which had a very dark metallic look to it. Now, this, as like the hyper mode for the vehicle mode, this one does the same thing, except really doesn't add anything to the toy itself because the guns are pointing upward, which really doesn't make any sense to me, but it can do it. As far as weapons go, he has his cannon here, which may or may not look familiar to you because it is molded after Megatron's alternate mode in Armada, just not transformable at all. It has this little green piece here that will flip up and become a targeting system for it. And firing the blue missile activates that sound, which is rather extreme for just a little missile. And he comes with his sword, which is green this time instead of the clear plastic we get. You can attach it to his arm one of two ways. You can either attach it this way, which I prefer to, with the sword sticking out, or you can swing it around and have the cannon facing forward. But I prefer to have it this way because he's most known for his sword in the series. And if you just heard multiple times, this is on a spring, and moving it or hitting against something will activate that weird sword noise. This is obviously, as far as obviously the name goes, but as far as overall design, is a huge homage to the Galvatron character. The cannons here on his shoulder can go straight up or be pointed downward, and look at them, they have the general shape of Galvatron's cannon from Generation 1. He has the same type of design crown for the head, and the overall torso, and the abdomen with the kind of Unicron abs here. And if you really want to get a little bit extreme, having his tank cannon is with gun form, it kind of resembles the Galvatron gun. But it also has a few other little notes about references to the Armada Megatron character. We look back in on the head with his crown pieces. That has a kind of like a etched design into the crown, which is similar to the huge horns that Megatron had in the previous series, which had the same design in them. And if you want to get a little stretch it a little bit, with how these guns are sticking forward straight up. It is kind of resembling the overall design of the Megatron's arms with the treads sticking forward. Now this is a Voyager class toy, and if you compare him to his previous incarnation from Armada, it will be exactly the same size as him from the previous from Armada, which is 100% appropriate. Instead of having him this small the previous series, to have him the big leader class version in the next one. Now, with all that being said, this is the best Galvatron toy ever. I would almost even say it's the best toy as far as Decepticons leader goes, including all Megatrons. I don't know why, but the size difference from being shrunk down from a leader to a Voyager class, and the improved paint applications on this, just make it an overall real enjoyable figure to look at and display or play with, because it is really show accurate, as the Superlink toys have been known for. It doesn't have the clumsiness that Energon Megatron has. I would recommend this 100% over the Energon Megatron toy if you can get it, because this toy is absolutely worth it. It is, like I said, this is the best Galvatron toy ever. This was only really released in Japan. It is really hard to find, even on eBay. I spent months trying to find a reasonable auction for this toy. This was released as a Toys R Us exclusive in the United States, which is almost just as hard to find. So if you really want a great tribute to the original Generation 1 Galvatron, and just an overall fun toy with a great design, fun but simple but fun transformation, I would recommend getting this figure at the first chance you can. If you can't get the Superlink version, get the Energon Toys R Us exclusive version of this. Until next time, thank you for watching.